The Yankees did not play well, and they didn't deserve to win this series.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's worth it to me. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon to get started. And with me, as usual, is my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian?
The worst played series of the year for the Yankees? I think it's safe to call it that.
Yes. I think it's safe to call it that, and I'm going to allow you all in the chat to just complain for the next 30 minutes. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. I didn't check, but we're very close to 6,500. We're almost there, so we might actually pass it on Monday. So that'll be good. Coming up on the show, obviously, we're going to talk about the upcoming series that the Yankees have, not just against Baltimore, but there's a rough stretch coming up. This was already a rough stretch when you look at it, but it's even worse coming up. We're going to talk about that. It's Minors Monday, but it's going to be a little different because the Yankees farm system has an issue with injuries, so we'll be talking about that. But first, the worst played series of the year, by far, worse than the Dodger series.
Yeah, I think today was a combination, or earlier last night was a combination of Trevino not being a great catcher when it comes to throwing runners out, and Stroman being slow to the mound. Yep. And it's slow to the plate. And clearly the Red Sox exploited that. I mean, but 9 stolen bases, even if they exploit that, it's still unacceptable. You can't allow 9 stolen bases in a game. That's just not, it can't happen.
No, that's embarrassing.
They played terribly. They did poor at bats. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't be down 2 runs and load the bases with no outs. And I mean, Gleyber Torres and
3-0
and Trevino in the at bat following that had two of the worst at bats I've seen the Yankees this entire year. I mean, Gleyber Torres 3-0 and then 3 straight pitches where he looks like he's lost, and Trevino too. I mean, looked completely lost at the plate. They got nothing going on offense in the first game of the series. They couldn't hit. They couldn't get anything going. And Rodon actually wasn't that bad in that game because
you mean the first loss of the series, the first game they actually won.
Rodon wasn't actually that bad because he had the 1 clunker inning, but now he actually pitched pretty well. But Stroman didn't pitch well. He was in and out of trouble all night. Heel was good, but it was just they looked almost inferior to the Red Sox. And I mean, the Red Sox have played well lately, right? I mean, they had that bad series against the White Sox, which seems to have woken them up because then they played, the Phillies and beat them at 2 out of 3, and they just took the Yankees down 2 out of 3. Arguably 2 of the best teams in baseball. So you got to give the Red Sox credit where credit's due, but they I think this is the worst played series the Yankees have had all year. I mean, honestly, they looked lost at the plate the entire year, and we said this going in. We talked about this 2 weeks ago when we talked about the Red Sox series. Their pitching is really good, and they've won games this year on their pitching because their fielding is some of the worst in baseball. Their hitting isn't stellar other than Devers, and their pitching has won them series, and it showed today. It showed yesterday. It showed the day before. The Yankees did not play well, and they didn't deserve to win this series.
No, they were playing like a team that couldn't wait to get home.
Yeah, that was legitimately it. They were playing like a team that had played in 13 straight days, and they couldn't wait for their first off day. They can't wait to get back to New York and sleep in tomorrow and go to a nice dinner Monday night. That's clearly what they played like. But it doesn't get easier. I mean, you have Atlanta, right? You have Baltimore, and then you get the Mets, which is never easy for the Yankees, right? Like in Atlanta, you get a little bit of a break because Acuna's out.
And then after that, but then even after the Mets, they go up to Toronto, which I know Toronto isn't playing that great.
Still a division rival.
Yeah.
Still a division rival. Like it doesn't get easier for them all. Up until really the All-Star break, they have a really challenging schedule. So you're going to see a lot of trials and tribulations going forward with this team, and I think they'll handle it well. They're a good baseball team, but this was not a good start to this. Well, not a good first part of the start. So they're after looking how as good as they looked in Kansas City, they looked equally as bad in Boston.
Right.
Speaking of bad, that's a good segue for you.
Oh yes, ESPN. But before we get into that, you made a good point. So this was a bad series. Saturday and Sunday were bad. Friday was good. But I would like for people to stop acting as if the Yankees just lost 6 games in a row, because
No.
people are really freaking out. It's really because they hadn't played the Red Sox all season. People were looking forward to it. People were also upset for some reason about them not playing the Red Sox yet. I mean, if I had it my way, they wouldn't play the Red Sox for the next 10 years because I've had enough. But I just want people to calm down. I know you're all worried about Baltimore. You have the off day today. Take that day to calm down.
Yes, am I worried about Baltimore? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, but also I could easily see the Yankees being a wild card team this year. Like, I'm not expecting the division. Like, I can very much acknowledge that Baltimore is an awesome baseball team. They're really good. So, like, if the Yankees, there's not going to be shame in not winning the AL East this year if the Yankees don't win the East this year. There won't be shame in that. Yankees can win a wild card and still be one of the better teams and one of the harder outs in all of baseball. They really can. So, and also, winning the division doesn't have as much weight on it as it used to. It really doesn't. Like, you're still going to get in the postseason, and at that point, it's, as Cashman's told you before, it's a crapshoot. So I don't think you should be too concerned over who's going to win the division or not. I don't think it means that much, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And again, what I think matters is things like this getting exploited, though. Like, you know, there was a point, the one good point made on the broadcast, that's of the weekend, is the fact that this does exploit something, right? Like when the Red Sox do what they did to Trevino, other teams are going to get this idea. Like, you watch starting Tuesday, Baltimore's going to run.
My question is, why the hell was Trevino catching Stroman? Wells usually catches him.
That I don't know. Maybe because Wells played the night before.
Yeah, but it's the night before. They're 2 night games. It's not a day game after. If it was a day game after a night game, I would understand. But
I wish I could explain Boone's motives at times. I don't understand them at all.
He booned the game too. So let's.
Yeah, I mean the coming in for pitching decisions too. I texted you during the Saturday game. I don't know why Marinaccio was in for 50 pitches. I know they were down, but then they had a chance to come back at some point. And I texted you. I'm like, watch, he's going to throw Marinaccio back out there for the 8th, and then I don't know why, because now the point is these things trickle down, right? Right. So you use Marinaccio for 50 pitches, and if Boone. I don't know why you'd admit you're going to lose the game at that point in the 5th inning. But even if that was his mindset is, oh, we're going to lose anyway, let Marinaccio get the dirty innings and get out of it. Fine, if that's your mindset. But now you lose Marinaccio for a week because he basically gave you another start. Right. I don't understand why a guy coming right up from the minors, you're going to now kill his arm for a week. That makes no sense. And then you get back into the game and it's like, oh, what was this for? Now he just burned an arm. Like, that made no sense. There's a lot of moves that he makes that. And again, you have the off day Monday. You have one more game left in the series. What was he saving Marinaccio's arm? Like, what was killing his arm for? Who was he saving? They're not going into a long stretch of games. Who was he saving? Because they didn't use Holmes the next game. You didn't even know you were going to use Holmes because you didn't know you were going to be up. The only top tier reliever he used tonight was Luke Weaver. So you don't know who you're going to use the next day. You have to use who you know you're going to use in that day. And the Yankees weren't in the lead. I understand, but like. Using Marinaccio for 2 innings, I understand. Using him for 3 because he pitched well is fine. But letting him be out there for 50 pitches so his arm dies after he just came up from AAA makes absolutely no sense to me. There's a lot of peculiar moves that are made. And again, the scary part about this is I think Trevino put a blueprint out there of how to beat the Yankees tonight. I really do. And clearly, I think you're going to see a lot of teams that are going to look to start track meets against the Yankees.
I think it's more Stroman being so slow to the plate. Also, the combo of those two. I think it's really those two together. So we'll see how that works. But one thing, let's say this: Aaron Judge has more first inning home runs this season than the Rangers, Pirates, Braves, Guardians, Brewers, Rays, Rockies, Mets, Royals, Giants, A's, Blue Jays, White Sox, and Nationals.
That's crazy. Did you also see the stat that Judge, Soto, and Stanton have more home runs combined than like 10 other teams in baseball? It's quite remarkable.
It's crazy. Quickly, ESPN's production of the Sunday night baseball game. It's a 1-run game. Why are you talking to the scoreboard, dude? You could have saved that. You could have saved that for when the Red Sox went up by 5 runs.
As a child, for me, the Sunday night broadcast was John Miller and Joe Morgan, which I think is as top-notch as it ever could get, how good the two of them were. And I do think we're a little desensitized because of how good the Yes Network broadcast is. A lot of teams don't have really that good of home team coverage, right? And even, I mean, looking across town, I'm not a Mets fan, but the Mets broadcast is pretty good too. So, like, it's hard to be like that, but I mean, Stacey, flat out, can we watch a baseball game?
Right. Can
It
we
feels
watch
like
the
the
game?
entire broadcast for the ESPN broadcast is not about baseball.
Like, they
The
don't
whole
even
thing
mention
feels like
pitching
it.
changes. Like, someone will
No.
be pitching, and it's like, oh, wait, is this a new pitcher? Yes.
Well,
If you were
the
paying
best point
attention,
is
you would
the
know.
inning where they loaded the bases and had a chance to tie the game. Soto had that walk, right? And it was a 2-1 count. Very obviously, takes a ball and they go, oh, that is a walk that'll load the bases. And it wasn't. It was the second pitch of the bat was a strike, and they didn't even mention it. They just thought it was a ball, and they just like it's very frustrating to watch that kind of stuff because this is ESPN. This is Sunday Night Baseball. It's supposed to be, and I get how they're trying to change these broadcasts to make it more of a, I don't know, family kind of cool, chilling out vibe. I do get that, and I think there is room for that in sports, but you need to also be like, no one's tuning in to this game tonight to have a good, jolly old time. People are tuning in, want to watch Yankees Red Sox.
And no one's tuning into Yankees Red Sox to hear about Tristan Casas' father getting arrested.
No. Like,
that boy can talk, man.
That.
Wow.
He'll be a great broadcaster.
I could talk.
He'll be a great broadcaster one day, but also I don't need the interview. Like, I don't. Like, I get having Boone and Cora for a cute little snippet of what did you do? What was your favorite memory of your dad? Like, that's great. But I don't need a player who's on the injured list talking for an entire half inning about how his dad got arrested. Like, I don't like, and it was a great story, but like, I don't care. And I would say that if it was a Yankee player too. Like, I'm not saying he's a Red Sox. I'm here to watch a game. Yep. I want, like, put the game on. I don't like, very, very frustrating to watch.
Yes. And Buster Olney follows me on Twitter. Eduardo Perez follows me on Twitter. I've had David Cohn on the show. It was 3 years ago. Maybe we'll try and get him back, but it's
gotta
just
call it like it is.
Yeah. I can't. You're right. I can't deal with this anymore. Also, thank God next Sunday isn't an ESPN game, but next Saturday is another Fox game against the Braves. Just so you know. You're welcome. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. If you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday, you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club as well. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. I texted you guys about the Jasson Dominguez news, which we'll be talking about in the next segment. Nice segue. You can text us questions and conversations. I haven't checked subtext, but I'm sure the messages are stellar right now. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a lot of fun. Coming up next, Miners Monday.
It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. And how about this? The Euro Championships started for soccer in Europe, and if you're not into it, you should, because this is where your countries get to make a name for themselves. I like Belgium tomorrow at -220, and you can get any of these bets online. You can follow MLB bets on FanDuel.com. NBA, the finals are ending, but you can still get some bets in on that too. NHL, Stanley Cup Finals are still on, and this is what's great about Locked On and the promos they give you. $150 for any $5 bet made. Who wouldn't want to do that? And here's what all you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And Locked On Yankees is also sponsored by Prize Picks. We're now less than a month away from MLB's All-Star Game in Dallas, Texas, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, you can take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entries today. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And you know what the best bet you can put in? Yankees to score in the first inning. I mean, usually the no-run first inning bets are one of the most popular ones, but run first inning bets are the best ones for the Yankees because they seem to do it every night. And testing my skills on Prize Picks this baseball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. That's quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a $100 first deposit match. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the noise. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. All you got to do is download the SiriusXM app or the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, Miners Monday, here it is.
Miners Monday, and it's not a positive Miners Monday because once it was said that Jasson Dominguez was going on the 7-day IL, I saw a tweet that said the Yankees have almost 1/3 of their top 30 prospects on the IL, which I didn't realize. And then I was looking through the names and I remembered, oh, right, that guy's hurt, and that guy's hurt. Oh, yeah, and that guy's hurt. So, yeah. So this is the list and the numbers of their ranking. Jasson Dominguez, 1. Chase Hampton, 3. Everson Pereira, 5. Henry Lillane, 8. Clayton Beeter, 13. Carlos LaGrange, 16. Anthony Hall, 26. Justin Lang, 30. And then Caleb Durbin doesn't have a ranking, but he is also injured. So it's a lot. It's almost like, hey, they sound like the big club the past few seasons.
Yeah, they're taking after their bigger counterparts.
Yeah, like what is going on there? So Dominguez tweaked something in his left side during a check swing. He was placed on the IL on Sunday. It's the 7-day IL. It'll probably be longer because the side means oblique. And when you hurt your oblique, it could be a long stint. They don't know the extent yet. He had imaging done on Sunday. We'll probably find out Monday what the diagnosis is. But what do you think this means for his 2024? Like, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. It depends on the severity of it because he could be out anywhere from like a few weeks to like months because obliques are really tricky. So the good thing
They don't need
is
him.
that they don't need him right now. So it's not best case scenario because you don't want him hurt, but it's best case scenario right now because the big club doesn't need him. This isn't
You do want him to get play time, though. That was the
Of
whole
course.
goal of this whole thing.
Yes.
And him missing this play time is going to hurt him.
Yeah.
And they're going to take it real careful with him because obliques are tricky. I mean, we saw Aaron Judge missed most of that year with the oblique injury. So these are really tricky injuries to come back from, really tricky injuries to feel better from. They take a while to heal. And obliques are weird because you don't really know when they're healed because they feel fine. And then all of a sudden you take a swing that's too much and it pulls again and you don't know that's coming. So it's a really tricky situation. They're going to be really careful with him, but it hurts. I mean, yes, it hurts when it's the big league club and they lose games. You don't want that to happen, but it hurts a lot when it's the minor leagues too, because time is money with these guys. Time is value with these guys. And when these guys start getting hurt like this and you can't develop them, that's another year that's delayed on their track record. That's another year that's delayed on their ETA. You've got plans for these guys in your system. You know, Chase Hampton being hurt, if he misses the rest of the year or misses another month or two, well, what if they had plans on him coming up in September, and using him as a call up? So there's a lot of things that go into the minors players being hurt that really can put a back hole on what the team plans to do in the future. And I mean, we got to throw this in too, because we didn't even say it. Speaking of injuries, Anthony Rizzo, we got to find out what's up with him, because if he's actually hurt, I mean, who the heck knows what direction the Yankees going?
Yeah. And it's funny, not funny, but it's ironic, I guess, in a way that, people were calling for Rizzo to be released last week. And now everyone's like, oh no, Rizzo's hurt. What are they going to do? So
yeah, now it opens that trade possibility up way more.
Yep. So, yeah, the oblique, I was happy it wasn't the elbow at least, but then when you find out it's an oblique, like you said, it's really tricky because it could be months. You never know. And
yeah, it could be months to 2 weeks.
I'm actually surprised that there are not more oblique injuries. I know these guys take care of themselves, but some of these guys swing really hard. And if you just tweak your swing accidentally, like if something is coming at you and you tweak it in a way where you know what I mean? I'm surprised more guys.
I think because their oblique muscles are so heavily refined because they swing so much that they're so elastic, and they use their oblique more than a normal person ever uses their oblique. So
True.
That muscle's a lot more refined from them. Like, we're hurting our obliques getting out of bed in the morning, and they're swinging a bat every day. But still, you're right. Like but it's crazy because that injury is that and the hamstring You just don't know when guys are going to come back from it. And it's weird that guys come back and then they play for 5 minutes and they're hurt immediately again. It's really tricky injury.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, more of them. Everson Pereira is out for the season. He had season-ending elbow surgery. He got the internal brace. So they're thinking that he should be okay for 2025, like just, recover and then be ready for spring training. Chase Hampton has been sidelined with a UCL sprain since late April, which that's not great. Clayton Beeter has had a shoulder injury for about a month. So everyone's falling apart in the minors right now. So that's not good because everyone's talking about how good the Yankee system is and they have all these guys and maybe you use some of these guys for trades, who knows, or maybe you bring some of these guys up when other people are traded or you move them up when other people are traded.
But
and
if you're a team, do you want to trade for an injured piece before
no,
he's made his debut?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like now you can't do anything with these guys. Like some of these guys were actually interesting possible trade chips, and now no.
Yeah, now it's a giant question mark. You don't know. So you really have to play you got to tiptoe on the fine line here because this is a situation where when these guys, and again, even if you're not planning on trading these guys, this stunts their development, right? Like these, whatever many games they're playing in the minors, like Jasson Dominguez, if he plays a full year in the minors, Everson Pereira with a full year in the minors is going to get 100 games like under their belt playing at a high level in the minor leagues. And now you're not going to get that. That's a huge amount of time that's lost. A lot of at-bats that are lost, a lot of experience that's lost. So, this does hurt your development a lot.
Yeah. It's not good. Like I said, it wasn't going to be a positive Minors Monday, but we had to talk about it because that's a lot of injuries. And I mean, what are you going to do? Yep. Stuff happens, I guess, right? Speaking of stuff happening, coming up, we're going to talk about the Yankees, who are in the midst of a rough stretch right now, meaning a rough schedule because they're playing good teams, relatively. So we're going to look ahead to the next 3 series against the Orioles, the Braves, and the Mets. Locked On Yankees is brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM. You can order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. And don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So, okay. Yankees play the Royals and the Red Sox on the road. They finish 4-3, which, I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah, but you thought it was going to be better before after the Royals series.
And after the first game against the Red Sox, honestly. I mean, they won 8-1. It was pretty, they were good offensively. They were good pitching wise. It was a good game all around. You were just thinking, all right, they're going to walk all over the Red Sox. This will be fun. And then Saturday and Sunday happened. So again, it's baseball. You never know what's going to happen. Strange things happen. You can be a good team and lose to a bad team. This doesn't mean the Yankees are bad. This doesn't mean that the 50 wins were a mirage. I want people to get that out of their heads. Forget about 2022. This is not the 2022 team. And yes, the Yankees have holes, they have flaws, but they also know that they need to fix them, and they will at the trade deadline, for the love of God. Okay, Yankees-Orioles, 3 games in the Bronx. We might see Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I think you will. He seems like he's ready. He did do his last rehab start. I think you're gonna see he'll be activated after Monday. That it was no point in activating him yesterday because what was the point? He wasn't gonna pitch anyway.
Right.
So I think you are gonna see Garrett Cole more in this Orioles series. That's a positive for the Yankees. Get his first home start. That's good. The Braves series, you get a little bit of a break, right? Because you're not getting Acuna with the Braves. They have a lot of injury problems, so you are getting a little bit of a break with the Braves there.
Well, you also have a break with the Orioles because you're not seeing Grayson Rodriguez or Corbin Burns.
No,
So
you get the middle of their lineup, and John Means being out for the whole year, they have problems too, right?
Yeah.
Like the Yankees have problems, the Orioles have problems too. John Means was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's missing the whole year.
The Orioles are not the same team they were when the Yankees lost to them 3 out of 4 in Baltimore, and the Yankees aren't the same team as. So it's a little different. I know it seems bad the way they played the Red Sox heading into that series, but does anyone remember 2006 when the Yankees looked horrible going into the 5-game series at Fenway and then they swept? I mean, that's how baseball is. You never know.
Yeah,
it's
a weird sport, and that's what makes it so interesting, so captivating, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You
and
really
then you
don't.
get, I believe it's a 2-game series at the Mets.
Yeah, they're always 2 games now.
Yeah, which is interesting. That's always got weird, drama and flair behind it. I don't think there really is much of a. I think the rivalry is more made on like geographics than it actually is on.
It's not really a rivalry.
I don't think the teams hate each other. I really don't think the fan bases really actually hate each other. I think it's like a made up kind of thing just to get people involved. I don't think there's really a rivalry at all. I honestly don't.
I wouldn't say that. Met fans are like little brother. It's.
But I don't focus on Mets fans, and I don't think Mets fans focus on the Yankees too much either, to be honest with you. There's no reason to. They're not.
Every Met fan I know focuses on the Yankees.
They're not in the same league.
I know that.
They're not in the same. They're not in the same. They don't ever affect each other standings wise.
Right.
Like nothing that they do ever affects each other. I think a lot of it is manufactured by people and manufactured by media outlets to get a reaction. I think.
Oh, well,
I really think
New York.
They're not.
Yeah.
They have so little to do with each other. It's not even funny.
Well, I will give you a story, okay, quickly, because we still have a little time. Back in, I want to say it was 2003, a Met fan I know was like making fun of the Yankees. And he's like, yeah, it's been so long since they won a World Series. I'm like, who'd they beat in the World Series the last time they played the World Series? The Mets. What are you talking about? But I've said this before. Wasn't brought up to hate the Mets. My first game was almost a Mets game. We were coming home from Florida. It was the day after my 3rd birthday, and my dad had brought my 2 cousins with us, my cousins Jimmy and Jean Ann. Jimmy was a big Mets fan. All of my Long Island cousins are Mets fans. So my dad decided instead of taking 95 North, we'd take 85 North, go into Atlanta, and watch the Mets play the Braves. I almost went. And my mom's like, no, Stacey's too tired. I'll stay with her in the hotel room. So my first baseball game could have been a Mets Braves game. It was not. I didn't go to a baseball game for another 5 years. But I'm just saying, my dad didn't raise me to dislike the Mets. We disliked, and I've said this many times, Red Sox, Dodgers, Royals, because those were the teams that they played in the playoffs, late 70s, early 80s. And, so when George Brett went nuts on Pine Tar Day, I was like, oh, George Brett's the worst, so that's how I was brought up. I wasn't brought up to dislike the Mets. The reason I dislike the Mets, and it's not even the team, it's the fans that I grew up with, because they're the literal worst. My 7th grade homeroom teacher, the worst. When was I in 7th grade? Fall of 86. It was the worst freaking many weeks of my life.
Not a good time for you. I don't know. The Mets they're just another team in the sport that I cover. They should be. They're not like a team that I have this ultra hatred for.
But I want every Yankee fan to realize that. That's what they are. They're not a rival. They just happen to be how many miles away. They're not in the same league. It's not a rivalry.
I don't consider, to me, Rangers Islanders is so much more of a bigger rivalry than Yankees Mets. They're in the same division. I don't know why, but I think it's just a geographically manufactured thing. I really do. And that's not a reason to be a rival with someone.
Although George Steinbrenner didn't help either with the Mayor's Trophy nonsense. And God forbid the Yankees lost in an exhibition game. He would, go absolutely insane. So that didn't really help things. But, it was, I will say, because you were literally like, were you even born when Interleague started in 97? No.
That was the year I was born.
Right. It was very exciting, though, when they started playing in the regular season against each other. And back then it was 3-3 weekend series. And it was a lot of fun, I will say. But it's gotten old. And our bosses are not going to be happy with me saying this because they've complained about it before. They're like, don't downplay the Subway Series. I can't help it. I don't look forward to the Subway Series. I just don't. Not anymore. Not that it's 2-2. If it was weekend, it's not even the weekend anymore.
No,
like
it used to be
it used to be the marquee matchup. Like every Sunday night game that I had from 1999 to 2008, the Mets Sunday game for the most part was an 8 o'clock ESPN game.
And it used to be impossible to get a ticket too. Remember the tickets for Yankees Mets used to be like, now you can get in for $10.
Right.
Like, it's not a big deal anymore. Like,
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's 25, more than 25 years of it now. And it's like the novelty wore off a long time ago. It's stale. It is. But we'll see. This is a tough stretch because, as I said earlier in the show, after they're in Citi Field, they go up to Toronto. And I know Toronto is way back in the standings, but you never know how the standings are going to look.
No.
By the time they're playing Toronto.
They're still a really power stacked team. Like, and the not for nothing, the Red Sox have looked very mid all year, and the Yankees just lost 2 out of 3 to them. So it could very easily happen against Toronto. You got to keep your ears perked up for these kind of series because it doesn't get easier.
Yep. That's all we want from you guys. Just, keep things up a little bit. Look perky. You didn't look perky on Saturday and Sunday.
No.
It was like a slow motion car wreck. It was awful. It really was. Sunday was the worst though. My God, they were pantsed on Sunday. Like the Red Sox were pantsing them the entire time. It was awful. Anyway, what a lovely way to end this. Okay. One more time. You can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a link in the description under our YouTube videos. There's a 14-day free trial. You get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, complaints about the Yankees. I'm sure, like I said, I didn't log in yet, but I'm sure when I go in, there's going to be a lot. And then under our pinned comment, or on our pinned comment under our YouTube videos, you can leave your questions for Fan Mail Friday. If you're an insider, you get priority, but we'll still answer your questions on YouTube. And remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So that'll do it for this interesting edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. I just wanted to mention one thing. I just wanted to say a happy Father's Day to my father. I lost him earlier this year, but the best Yankee fan that I knew, and I miss him dearly. So I know you miss your father too.
Yes.